What if Marvel just showed us Doctor Doom's endgame? And we completely missed it, because this trailer isn't just introducing Doom, it may be showing us how he plans to break the multiverse, why he needs the heroes, and what he's ultimately trying to build. And the craziest part, Doom might not even start the movie as the villain. He may actually be the person the Avengers need. Let's break this entire trailer down. Let's start with something Marvel clearly wants us to notice. Doom appears to have two completely different costumes in the movie. The first is a much more aggressive, battle-ready suit, full armor, heavier plating, and a much more intimidating design. The second look is completely different. It's cleaner, more royal, and almost looks like something a ruler of Latveria would wear. And we actually see this version in the trailer. So why two costumes? One theory is that the clean royal version is Doom before his transformation into the full armored villain. He could begin the movie as the powerful ruler of Latveria, trying to stop the incursion. Then after everything falls apart, he becomes the armored Doom we recognize. And there's another reason this theory is interesting. The royal version may actually be the same look we see around the Fantastic Four storyline, particularly in the sequence involving Franklin and Doom. That could mean Doom isn't some random character who arrives from another universe. He could already be connected to the Fantastic Four's world, possibly even Earth 8 3-eyed. And this brings us to one of the wildest rumors. What if there aren't just two costumes? What if there are actually two different Dooms? A Doom variant from one universe and another Doom from somewhere else. It sounds insane, but the movie is dealing with the multiverse, so literally anything is possible. For now, though, it could simply be one Doom changing costumes, but Marvel is clearly playing with the idea of multiple versions of characters, so I wouldn't completely dismiss it. Then we get one of the most disturbing shots in the trailer. Doom is sitting on his throne. Behind him is this huge stained glass design that makes the entire room feel less like a superhero headquarters and more like something out of a horror movie. There's also this strange magical energy surrounding him. And remember, Doom isn't just a genius. In the comics, he understands both science and magic. His connection to magic is heavily tied to his mother and his attempts to save her. So that strange ritual-like sequence may be showing Doom performing some kind of magical operation, and according to rumored script details, Doom may actually be sitting in this room watching multiple incursions happening across different universes. Basically, he's observing worlds collide and collapse. Which brings us to the real question: what is Doom trying to accomplish? If Doom wants to survive the destruction of multiple realities, he can't simply save one universe. He needs to control the entire situation, and that's where the idea of Battleworld becomes extremely important. Doom could potentially take the surviving pieces of destroyed universes and merge them into one new reality. A world built from the remains of countless universes, and that would explain why Doom needs powerful magic users. We see him surrounded by 3 Latverian witches, with another mysterious figure named Boris seemingly positioned above them. If these reports are accurate, they're not random magical characters, they could be helping Doom perform the massive spell required to manipulate multiple realities. And Boris could be extremely important, because there's a theory that Boris might actually be connected to Doctor Strange. We don't know if that's true, but the mysterious cloak and magical appearance certainly make the theory interesting. If Boris is a Strange variant, Doom may have someone beside him who understands the mystical side of the multiverse better than almost anyone. Doom handles the science, Strange handles the magic. Together, they could potentially reshape reality itself. This might be the most important detail in the entire trailer. Doom seems to be portrayed as surprisingly sympathetic at first. We hear Sue Storm explaining that Victor was always caring and compassionate until he lost the people he loved, and Sue is visibly crying. Why? One possibility is that Doom has lost his family because of an incursion. Maybe Franklin was even taken from them, and that could explain Doom's motivation. He isn't destroying reality simply because he wants power. He believes the multiverse is broken, and he wants to create a world where the people he lost can exist again. That's a very different motivation. Doom could genuinely believe he's saving everyone until his solution becomes worse than the problem. Inside Doom's throne room, we also see a huge portrait. We don't know exactly who it represents. It could be Doom's mother, but there's a strong possibility it's connected to his wife or family. And if Doom is staring at that portrait with tears in his eyes, it makes his motivation even more personal. Imagine losing the people you love because of a multiversal disaster, and then discovering you have the power to prevent it from happening again. Doom wouldn't see himself as a villain. He'd see himself as the only person willing to do what everyone else is too afraid to do. But eventually, Doom crosses the line. We see Thor, Magneto, Gambit, Steve Rogers, and other heroes dealing with the aftermath of what appears to be a massive battle. Magneto is visibly damaged, John Walker's shield is bent, and Sue says she knew Victor had lost, but she didn't realize how broken he had become. Then we see Thor, and Thor clearly isn't treating Doom like an ally anymore. This could mean the movie begins with Doom helping the heroes stop the Incursions. Everyone thinks he's on their side. Then something changes. Doom realizes that controlling the multiverse requires sacrificing worlds, and eventually he becomes the reason the Incursions happen. That would make his transformation much more powerful than simply introducing him as evil from the beginning. Then we get that insane wide shot. Doom is standing with his magical forces, 3 Latverian witches, and Boris standing with them. If this is really Doctor Strange or a Strange variant, that's massive, because Doom wouldn't just have an army, he'd have an entire group of high-level magic users capable of manipulating reality, and that could be the mechanism behind Battleworld. Now look at the ruined city. It doesn't look like our normal MCU world. There's no familiar Avengers tower. The architecture feels older, and according to rumors, the opening of the movie could involve an entire universe being destroyed. One theory is that this could be an X-Men universe. And here's where things get crazy. Hugh Jackman has openly talked about bringing Wolverine into a major crossover with Deadpool, and Ryan Reynolds has also teased the idea of Wolverine and Spider-Man appearing together. So what if this destroyed city belongs to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man universe? That would explain why the city feels older and less technologically advanced, and it could potentially lead to the long-rumored Wolverine versus Spider-Man fight. If Marvel actually does that, the internet is going to explode. Then Doom delivers one of the most important lines in the trailer. All of you have lived a stolen life. That line may connect almost every character we see. First, we see Ant-Man and Cassie. Cassie's appearance has changed significantly from her previous version, so the stolen life idea could potentially refer to variants living lives that originally belonged to someone else. Then we see Johnny Storm holding Franklin. Franklin is interesting because technically he has already cheated death in the comics, especially when it comes to protecting his mother. So Doom could be referring to characters who were never supposed to survive their original timelines. Then we see Professor X and Magneto. Magneto appears to be destroying something while crying, and that connects directly to the idea that the X-Men may have been forced to destroy other universes to save their own. If their universe survives because countless others were sacrificed, Doom could argue that they're literally living on stolen lives. The same idea could apply to Thor. Love was originally dead, but Thor brought her back through eternity. So technically, her current life exists because death was reversed. Then there's Steve Rogers. We see him with his son. But remember, Steve went back in time and changed the life he was originally supposed to live. He took a different path, married Peggy, and created a family. So even Steve could technically be living a life that wasn't supposed to exist. And then there's Loki. Loki was originally supposed to die. Instead, a variant survived, traveled through time, and eventually became the being holding the timelines together. So when Doom says you have lived a stolen life, he may literally be talking about characters who escaped the fate their original universes gave them. Then we see Magneto destroying something while clearly struggling emotionally. This could connect to the rumored story that the X-Men have been fighting to protect their own reality by destroying others. If that's true, Doom's argument becomes terrifyingly logical. Your world survived because another world died. So Doom could believe every surviving universe is guilty, and his solution? Merge the remains of those destroyed realities into one world, Battleworld. Then we see Shuri, Ghost, and Falcon in a strange location. Notice the unusual curved structures around them. Then we see Cyclops in what appears to be the same kind of environment. And later, Doom arrives by smashing through a huge glass structure. That makes me think these scenes could be connected. And there were already rumors about Falcon, Captain America, and the Thing appearing together in a similar-looking set. So what if this isn't a building? What if it's actually a multiversal ship, something created by Reed Richards, and possibly Doom that can travel between universes? And we actually see what appears to be the same ship in the background during the Doom versus Thor sequence. That would explain how these characters are moving between collapsing realities. Now watch how Doom lands. He's not simply flying, he's using some kind of metal mechanism while combining it with magic. And the magic itself is interesting. Doom doesn't just use his usual green energy. There's a dark, almost black form of magic that appears before it changes into green. That immediately raises another possibility. Could Doom be connected to death? because death-related magic in the MCU has often been represented with darker visual effects, and if Doom has somehow gained access to that kind of power, it could explain why his magic looks different from what we've seen before. Then comes the shot everyone is talking about. Thor confronts Doom. Thor is completely ready to fight, and Doom casually stops his weapon. He doesn't overpower Thor through brute strength. He uses magic, and once again, that dark energy appears before turning green. But Doom doesn't stop there. He uses his power to awaken the destroyed Sentinels around him. This is huge, because Doom isn't just defeating the Sentinels, he's bringing them back. And that immediately reminds me of Hela. Remember how Hela resurrected the dead soldiers of Asgard? Doom appears to be doing something very similar with the Sentinels. So here's another wild theory. Could the mysterious Green Witch actually be Hela? In the comics, Hela has a major connection to death and the underworld. And if Doom is using death-based magic, Hela could potentially be involved. It's still speculation, but the visual connection is hard to ignore. Then Doom says, "I am Doom," and that line feels strangely poetic because the MCU began with "I am Iron Man," and now decades later, the same actor is standing in front of us as Dr. Doom. Iron Man became the symbol that started this universe, and Doom could become the character who ends this version of it. That's not just a cool callback, that's potentially the entire point of his character. The trailer also makes one thing very clear. Doom isn't being presented like a normal supervillain. The cinematography treats him almost like a supernatural horror character. The lighting, the music, the throne, the magic, the way he controls the Sentinels, everything about him feels less like, here's the next Marvel villain, and more like, something has entered this universe that should not exist. And honestly, that's exactly how Doom should feel. We're left with one massive question. Why does Doom have two completely different looks? It could simply be two stages of his transformation. Royal Doom becomes Armored Doom, but it could also be something much bigger. Two different Doom variants, one connected to Latveria, another possibly connected to another universe. And if Marvel really is hiding multiple versions of Doom, then the multiverse may be about to get even crazier. Put everything together. Doom may begin as a sympathetic ruler trying to save his family. He sees countless universes dying through incursions. He decides that the only way to stop the destruction is to merge the surviving pieces of those realities. He gathers powerful Latverian witches. He may recruit or control a strange variant known as Boris. He manipulates magic and technology. He begins building a Battleworld-like reality. The Avengers initially believe he's helping them, but eventually they realize the truth. Doom isn't trying to save the multiverse anymore. He's trying to replace it. And that could explain why the movie keeps showing us broken worlds, surviving variants, stolen lives, dead characters returning, and heroes fighting in realities that aren't their own. Because Doom's entire plan may be about one thing: taking everything the multiverse has lost and rebuilding it according to his rules. And if that's really what Marvel is setting up, then this isn't just Avengers versus Doom, it's going to be the entire multiverse versus the man who thinks he can save it. So now I want to know what you caught. Do you think the two Doom looks are just costumes, or are we actually getting multiple Dooms? And who do you think Boris really is? Drop your theory below. Because if even half of these clues connect, Doomsday may be hiding one of Marvel's biggest twists yet.